Hello. Does your name begin with an S? And does it end in Am Keith? If so, you might just be the fucker I'm talking about in today's video. Sam Keith. The guy... Well, you know, everyone knows who fucking Sam Keith is. It's the Maxx guy. He's the guy who made... Yes. He's known for a lot. Well, he's known for this, but he's done a lot. He's known for Sandman, Hulk and Wolverine are two things he did that were very good. Very much building the Sam Keith that everyone knows and loves today. Yeah. But I don't have all of those because I'm not a real fan. I'm what's known as a dick. I've got a bunch of fucking like the Maxx and stuff. There you go. Look, the Maxx, published by Image Comics in '93, I think. Around that time, it was very much, you know, Liefeld and that other guy. What's his name? The Spawn guy, Todd something McFarlane. All the comics looked different. They looked very different to Marvel and DC, but they did have a certain sort of like Image Comics look to them. And then Sam Keith came along and drew the Maxx, and it looked like this, which is just a little bit bananas, really, for you know, comics at the time. I mean, straight away you see the ink work that Mr. Keith puts into his work. The ink work he puts into his work. Look at that. That's a nice. He uses lots of weird shapes. The weird panels are one thing that, I mean, meh. I completely get doing something different, like wanting weird panel shapes and doing something weird and odd, different with your comic. But there comes a point where it's like, well, but is it weird for the sake of weird, or is it needed? I don't know. It makes an interesting comic, though, if nothing else. But the inking's really cool. The amount of stuff he applies to his pieces is very interesting. Some kind of like brush pen or something for the outlines, and then probably a dip pen to get all this hatching in here. Different textures in the backgrounds and stuff. Like, I guess this is where you get ink and blow it, so it makes these weird lines. He uses all kinds of techniques, different tools and equipment. I mean, I think you can see his influences. Frazetta is probably one that stands out. That's a bit of a money shot there, isn't it? The classic. It's very cool that he gets very bold lines like this, very heavy shadows, which he uses really, really well. Mixed with the really nice, like, tight hatching and stuff, and then using white over the black. So obviously this was done white on the black to get the extra textures and stuff. Really bulky, solid feeling forms and shit. That's cool. So I've got a few issues of this, so let's just fucking look through a few issues of this. It's very much a sign of the times, very 90s feel. And I would say Maxx was like an anti-hero, because he was a hero in his own right. That's nice. I love the shapes that Sam Keith uses. Very cartoony in a respect. He very much crosses the line between like cartoonist and comic book artist. Especially with like Iz's, the weird little critters that he draws. Very cartoony and silly. these guys. But then he gets very like dense comic book inking and stuff on top of that, which is really, really cool. Very powerful forms with the muscles and stuff, but then quite sort of wacky cartoony shapes of like the head and back. It's a very good integration of shit, you know. Weird panel shapes, but I mean, if you're just making a comic, why not throw in like, because this is almost typical weird, isn't it? Like if you're going to do odd panels in a comic, this is like, oh, I'll have them all over the place like this. That's almost typical. But then to do shit like this, it's like, what are you even doing? What is that? That's fucking weird. Stop it. Well, no, stop it. Keep going. Another good. Colours on that are really good as well. I don't think he's responsible for the colours. Yeah, other people did the colours, but the inking's great, isn't it? Yeah, very, yeah, chunky, solid shit. We like it. We like it a lot. I mean, to say Sam Keith's good at drawing is a bit like whatever. Obvious. Everybody knows this. I'm not breaking new ground. But I feel, I don't know, I have almost some kind of sort of love-hate relationship with Sam Keith's artwork. I love how off the wall it is. Just crazy pants, banana face. Is that crazy? Crazy pants, banana. Crazy banana pants. Crazy balls, banana pants. Crazy bananas, crazy. It is. Whilst at the same time being very, very readable, competent, killer artwork. With cool inking, and with the Maxx being, as I believe it is, somewhat at least sort of what's the term, per stream of consciousness, where it's almost, it feels like it's written as it's drawn, sort of made up on the spot almost. So it's got weird characters like this, which we'll see in a bit, which are probably just the sort of like things you draw just in the side of your sketchbook, just a doodle, funny little shape, turn it into a monster. But then you take that and turn it into this, which seems like that might have been some kind of way the Maxx was designed as a whole. Just some weird character. Maybe it wasn't originally destined to be this big superhero guy. But yeah, you refine the design a bit, bulk him up and turn him into superhero. Make a comic. See where it goes. So that was like classic Image comics at the time, and then you get this, which is cool. It feels a lot more organic. I feel the Maxx. It's very Savage Dragon on a different paper stock in this issue. I have issues 1, 2, 3, and then 6. Oddly, I don't know why exactly. This is quite a cool one. These sort of hand-painted watercolour ink pieces he does are really, really cool. I like that he throws those in as well. It adds to the... Because Maxx exists in two worlds at once, in like the real urban setting and then also in this outback fantasy land. So it's cool that the artwork forces you to feel that. You don't just see it and go, oh, okay, that's the case. You actually feel it through the artwork that you're shown, which is not an easy thing to do as an artist. But he's pretty good at it, is our Mr. Kieth. And then this is a couple of collections I happened to find in a store, so I bought them. So the Maxx, the story goes off and follows other characters completely, and then the Maxx is in it and then he's not in it. So it's a bit, I mean, well, obviously Maxx is oddball anyway, but it gets even more sort of just like, what is going on? What am I reading? This is weird. But I really like this Slug character. That's another one that I feel was probably like literally a doodle he did in his sketchbook, and he liked it, so he turned it into a character. Or he might have had the idea for the character all along. I don't know. His processes, his thoughts on things. It's very much like the Maxx anyway, with a big curved body and his really detailed muscly arms. But then he gets to draw the wacky, crazy mouth, which is cool. So the comics as a whole, past the first view, I'm like, meh. I get the idea, but as always, I like the artwork. That's the point, isn't it? It's very, very. I mean, it's cool. It's cool looking, which I think is part of the appeal of Image Comics as a whole, especially early on, is how everything just looks fucking cool. Like Marvel and DC, it's like dynamic and boom, but they have a certain style they want you to adhere to, especially around this time, to be Marvel or DC Comics. Whereas Image comes along and goes, we're going to make some fucking cool shit. Look at this. Look what we could do. And they do so, which is cool. So all those elements together are neat, and it's cool that, you know, Sam Kieth has the freedom to do shit like this. Make your own comic. Have covers like this, hand painted, with all kinds of shit going on, all kinds of textures. This is actual fabric that's on the thing. And there's watercolors and pencils and inks, all kinds of shit. Collage and stuff. It looks like it might actually be cut out of paper and then stuck onto the thing. So it's cool. You do that. All this different shit. Really, really cool integration and mixed media. Yeah. Stream of consciousness, following all kinds of different storylines, all kinds of different directions. There's a really good bit in this one where they're watching a TV and this cartoon show comes on, the Fred Flower and Uncle Italian Moose show. And then it goes into the show and it follows these the Flower and the Moose characters, which are really cool drawings. I really love how they are like cow and chicken, almost identical to cow and chicken in certain ways. So I like that he's thrown that in there. And then earlier on, I don't have the issue, but there's a bit that's actually drawn by an animator where Maxx goes into like a cartoon world and it's all spoken in rhyme and stuff. So again, having all those thrown in, different weird elements and stuff is very, very cool. But what we do have is what I've mentioned before with other artists. You see it a lot. Ashley Wood is a very good example. Jim Marfood is a good example. And I think Sam Kieth is as well, where you start off doing painstaking work. You put all your time and effort into, you know, inking and panel layouts and cross-hatching and all kinds of different mediums and painting and drawing and all this shit. And you work so hard to make something so specific. Not because you have to necessarily, but because you have that drive to be like, I have to make this comic. And I guess for some people, it's their early days in the industry to do that, to show I can do comics. Like, look, this is what I can do. Let me do comics. And then the more you work, maybe you relax a bit. Even, you know, from here to here, you can see the style feels almost looser in parts, where it looks like he's using just the thick brush pen more and less of swapping to thinner pens and different mediums and stuff. And that might be a time thing. It might be like he just has to get the issues out, but it definitely feels like, even, you know, from this issue to this issue, from 1 to 6, he's relaxed a bit. Not saying he's being lazy or he's not putting the effort in, but he's more relaxing into it. So his hands sort of flowing across the page more than it is like painstakingly doing every little bit. But then we come on to some of his later work, which is a bit different. I'll show these. I went through a period of liking comics specifically about the Joker and his whole thing. So there's The Killing Joke, which I can't find my copy of, but it's knocking around somewhere. There's this one, Arkham Asylum, with art by Dave McKean, which is just a fucking insane relic of a graphic novel. I mean, there's not much I can say other than just fucking look at it. Point being, that's what it is. It's a Joker, and it looks like that. There's this one by these guys, Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo, or Bermejo, however it's pronounced. Love this guy's artwork. He's done a bunch of Batman stuff, some Watchmen stuff, a bunch of other stuff. Especially these inked pages that he colours. Like the black and white stuff, I love how like jagged and straight line it is. It's very cool. But then yeah, you get these more sort of heavily painted inked pages, which are really, really nice. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I show you these because I also saw this. Arkham Asylum, Madness, Sam Kieth. I saw it in the store, had a flip through it and was like, cool, I'll take that home. So I did so. And I was largely disappointed. I mean, I'll show you. This is 2010. So I think, yeah, 2010. So, you know, decades after, you know, doing the Hulk and Wolverine and the Maxx and Sam. But obviously, his style is going to change and develop. He's going to spend more time doing certain things and less time doing other things as he wants and feels necessary or whatever. But you know, you don't want to see the same thing again and again. You want to see change and evolution, but you want to see it in a more positive way. There's just too many parts of this book that I looked through and was just like, ugh, really? Like, after seeing the Maxx and that sort of thing, you see stuff like this and it's just like, meh, 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 meh. Which is almost why it doesn't work, I think, Sam Kieth to do DC comic stuff. I know he has done quite a bit of Batman, Joker sort of stuff. But I think his work lends itself more to the Hulk, Wolverine, the Maxx, like these weird, big muscle characters and huge things happening. But then when it comes down to like, just like people, you know, the inmates of an asylum, it's sort of... His cartoony style is good, but I don't know if it lends itself to that sort of realm necessarily. I really love, he did a lot of mixed media stuff in this, lots of digital manipulation, which I love that he did it. But what I don't usually do, which I did do, is there's a little afterword in this where he actually says about this book specifically that it's kind of a dead end and almost an unsuccessful experiment. Like, even he realised this wasn't necessarily the greatest thing he could have done. He's glad to have done it, which makes sense. Like anything, you're glad to have been given the freedom to do a thing. But he mentioned as well the digital stuff like that really pulls you out of the rest of it. When it's all drawn in a certain way and suddenly there's a piece that looks like it was like heavily digitally manipulated or whatever, it really can pull you away from the actual story. The story itself, I think, was written by Sam Kieth. Written and drawn. Is meh, frankly. He does some really good storytelling in some of his stuff, but this, I'd say, personally, isn't one of his best. And I say this knowing that, you know, Sam Keith's never going to watch the video. If we were friends, I'd be like, yeah, this is great. I mean, But like I say, even he has noted that this is by no means close to his best work. I think he said, he spent, days and days doing different versions of certain pages, realizing he wasn't perfecting anything. He was just doing different versions of the page. So he's not necessarily happy with the comic he's created, which is it's a shame. And you can probably see as well, it's like it's cool that he's got paintings and different inks, but like when you know what Sam Kieth can do and you see stuff like this, it looks so amateurish. It's a real shame. I don't say that to be like, "God, what the fuck's he doing? Ooh, fucking DC should let me do a book. I'll do it better than do." I'm saying it's irritating. It's like, a book based in Arkham Asylum with Sam Kieth's artwork could be a fantastic thing to look through. But when the best parts are just like that's okay, that's pretty cool, that's a good painting, but like when that's one page out of almost 100, it's a real sort of like, what is this? This is not great. The lettering doesn't fit. I bought this home thinking, cool, a book about the Joker in Arkham Asylum with art by Sam Kieth, and I was just so unimpressed, and it really bugged me, that fact. Like there's one or two good drawings of like the Joker's face. There's quite a good croc drawing or painting like that, but on the whole, a huge letdown, especially with stuff like this out there. When you see this, it's like, ugh. Also, I had this, just a quick one to finish off. I bought this for the Glenn Fabry strip that's in here somewhere. Completely unaware, the very last strip in the book is a Sam Kieth one. It's a weird one, a very, very weird one, about like it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Priest Killer, like a turtle mutant that kills this priest, and then Judge Dredd shows up to see what's happened. I think this is around the same time he was doing the Arkham Asylum book, and again, it's like if I picked up an issue of, I think it was the Dredd magazine, and it said Sam Kieth, I'd be like, oh fuck, cool, I'd buy it, grab it, open it up, and if this is what I saw, I'd be so disappointed. Again, not just knowing what he can do, and then seeing this, I'm going to sneeze, sorry. I'm sorry, my allergies are playing up. That's a bad Dredd. Like, I don't draw the best Dredd. I can draw a good one now and again. I'm not saying I know a good Dredd when I see one, but I've seen enough good and bad Dredds to know a good Dredd when I see one, and that is not a good Dredd. And the story's quite funny. Some of the artwork's pretty cool. It's more cartoony than the Maxx or something. But just Well, you're Sam Kieth, cool, but and that's a sad thing. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not saying it's a problem. It's a pattern I've noticed before in other artists, where not that they get lazy, but they relax a bit and they do more of what they feel they want to do, as opposed to what they feel like they're forced to do to make a certain kind of product. They go, well, I'd like to do something like this, and then they do it. And I'm glad in this he pointed out that he wasn't happy with it. He realised it was a bit of a meh thing at the end of the day. But I don't know. I don't have a conclusion to this. I'm just saying Sam Keith is one of the greats. He's one of the big names, and rightly so. And not all great artists are great all of the time. There you go. Concluded.